The question is like, how do we transition and when? The answer is like as soon as possible. The whole world will move towards ML-DSA. I would be in favor that blockchain also choose ML-DSA. So that's the reason why I chose the ML-DSA to be the first signature to be supported as an SDK.
Charles, thank you so much for coming onto the show. I'm really excited to chat with you today. You are, of course, the CTO of Ledger. We're going to be mostly talking about quantum today. This has been a big topic of discussion on the show and for you on Twitter recently. We chat about quantum in various contexts on the show, but we've never really gotten the wallet developer infra perspective. And I mean, I'll say for myself, I'm pretty boned up on this subject, and I didn't truly appreciate how complex and challenging of a transition this is going to be for wallets until I started doing my homework for this interview. So yeah, excited for kind of a juicy conversation.
Cool. Thank you for having me, and in person as well, in San Francisco. I'm not always in San Francisco, so that was a good opportunity.
I saw your name. I was like looking through the Stanford blockchain, or I guess it's now called Science of Blockchain conference.
Yes.
I was looking through the list of people that I wanted to interview, and your name immediately stood out. I was like, that one, we're gonna get that one.
Cool. You made it happen.
So we made it happen. That's right. But I'm curious just to kind of start the conversation by asking, how quantum came up for Ledger initially. I mean, you guys have recently made an announcement, which we'll get into, but, when did you guys start taking the quantum transition seriously internally?
So we are talking about, I was joking about quantum computer for a long time because we are talking about quantum computer for, 30, 40 years. And that's 30 years that I hear that we're going to have quantum computers capable of breaking cryptography in the next 5 years. So that's the case for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit ironic, the past few years, but it seems that things are changing very very fast, mostly because of two things. If you want to break cryptography with a quantum computer, you need basically two things, like a quantum computer with like enough capacity, enough qubits, and that are staying into like entanglement like situation, and you need like efficient algorithm running on top of it. Theoretically, we know that it's possible to build quantum computers for 40 years, and theoretically, we know Shor algorithm since the 90s. So all of this is very theoretical. But when it comes to actually implementing a quantum computer, that's not that easy. And recently, more investment have been made, and we can see that the progress are actually happening. And we don't have only like one technology, but we have like 6 or 7 different potential technology to create quantum computer. And at the same time, we are seeing that we see progress on the implementation of the circuit that is run on top of this quantum computer. We call circuit a program in the quantum computing world. And this circuit that would implement Shor algorithm, Shor is the one that is factoring RSA or breaking elliptic cryptography. And both of those things are improving. And at some point, these two curves will cross, or might cross. We don't even know if they will cross, but it becomes more and more likely as the time is advancing. And the thing is, we need to be ready before there's two curves cross. And at the end, we are using cryptography in order to have like trust in the security of our systems, and it's very good guarantee because it's mathematical trust that we are building with cryptography. That's why we love cryptography. Like it's the highest level of guarantee that you can have. It's mathematical guarantee. But as soon as you have, as soon as this trust is eroded, then we need to find another solution. We need to find a solution to this. And I feel we are beyond this point already, maybe for a couple of years now. This trust is eroded because we can see there's two curves that are progressing like more intensively than it used to be, and that might cross in the near future. And also there are different things that we have shown that we have seen this year, especially. Firstly, with the paper from Google, Dan Bonnet, and others. And the big result for me is the big news is not really the result itself, is the fact that they didn't disclose the result. With creating a zero knowledge proof. So we know that they have the results, but they didn't disclose how. And for me, this was really the big news of this article. We knew that Shor algorithm can be improved. It was done last year by INRIA, and the more you put research on a topic, the more results you get. But here we had a strong signal saying that this kind of research could be done in the dark now. And I'm pretty sure that Google and Stanford and so on wanted to publish the full result, and they might have some pressure from whoever, probably like the US National Security or like some three-letter agency. And the signal is really the following. Like now we are going to continue doing progress in both direction, having a more powerful quantum computer and having a more efficient algorithm, but we might not publish about this anymore. So this is the situation where we are. So in terms of erosion of trust, it's difficult to do worse than this. So for me, the question is definitely not like when or if the quantum computer will break cryptography. This question is not relevant anymore. Now the question is like, how do we transition and when? And the answer is like as soon as possible. And because we have good news. The good news is that we have solution to this problem. Like it's not like if there would be an apocalypse and we have absolutely no solution. There might be a quantum computer capable of breaking cryptography, but the good news is that we have post-quantum cryptography. And now it's even standardized. So we have absolutely no excuse but executing this transition. So this is really the positioning. Again, we might never see a quantum computer capable of breaking cryptography. There might be like some hidden challenges that won't ever be overcome. This assumption seems more and more unlikely. So I changed my position about that with the recent results. So this position seems more and more unlikely. But again, let's not bet on this. We have solution against this potential problem. This potential problem might be huge. So let's implement the solutions.
I mean, this is a particularly interesting answer to this question. I've never gotten this answer before, that it was the fact that Google used a zero knowledge proof that actually kind of scared you the most, because it sort of indicated that this is research that now moving forward will be black boxed, and we might not get another canary in the coal mine, so to speak. I mean, is that sort of a fair...
Yeah, exactly. Because like back in the days, we were like, oh, like the research in quantum computing is like they are not able to factor 21. Oh, that was this. Shor algorithm was so complicated and so on. And we were like, okay, we have time. The time when they will factor 21 and so on, then we will start like considering and so on. And then we started like seeing results, and now we starting seeing that we won't know anything anymore. Like this is the situation. There won't be a canary in the mine anymore. So it's even more frightening now.
Well, so was this when did this come out relative to when you guys decided to upgrade your SDK? Like when did Ledger activate around this?
We started a little bit before. I think we started really considering like transitioning as soon as the NIST started to like standardize the algorithm. Because before we knew algorithms that are like post-quantum resistant, but there was a bunch of them, and there was no standard and so on. So that was almost impossible to implement anything. And then we had like standardization in late 2024. And then during 25, the standards were become more active with all the parameters and the full papers were published, except for Falcon, where the paper is still not published. So 2025 was really like the year where we are like, okay, what's the plan? How do we implement this and so on? Knowing that when you are a wallet, we can implement all the post-quantum cryptography we want. If blockchain don't migrate, like you won't be more secure with post-quantum wallets. At the end, your funds are on chain and anyone can steal them.
Yeah.
So this is the situation where we are. We use like cryptography internally for like a security reason when it comes to upgrading the operating system, or we have plenty of internals with the device. For instance, you can also use the device in order to create keys, encryption keys, in order to encrypt whatever you want. So we have, because quite often the Ledger device is seen as a Bitcoin hardware wallet, but it's much more than this. Like the device that we are selling is more like security platforms where we can build any kind of use case. Securing your Bitcoin keys is a very compelling one because like your Bitcoin keys have a lot of value and so on, but you can build any kind of use cases. Another one that is quite popular is passkeys. So you might be familiar with passkeys. Passkeys is based on FIDO 2. It's like an authentication mechanism that
like a YubiKey.
Like a YubiKey, yes, exactly. YubiKey implements FIDO and FIDO 2, and you can use your Ledger device as a YubiKey with more security because you even have a screen so that you cannot even have like a man-in-the-middle attack as you could have with YubiKey. But yeah, it's a different debate. So just saying that we have this like broad security platform that is the device, Ledger devices, with an operating system, and we are supporting plenty of use cases. The 95% of those use cases is securing your Bitcoin keys or whatever blockchain keys. But at the end, we are like more an agnostic security platform that is addressing the blockchain security verticals, but we can address any kind of the verticals.
And so, and by that, kind of measure you guys are doing, there's like various things that are going to have to upgrade in terms of the post-quantum transition. It's, there's a whole variety of different steps that are going to need to take place. I think we should dig into that. But before we do, what exactly, so Ledger upgraded its SDK. What exactly did it do? What exactly did it add to its SDK and why?
Yeah. So again, back to the operating system. So inside the Ledger device, you have what we call a secure element. So it's an integrated circuit. It's the smart card technology, the same technology that you can find in your passport or in your banking card. So it's really a small, dedicated, integrated circuit that is designed for security with a lot of security countermeasure. They are designed in a way such as even an attacker with a lot of resources with a physical access, this kind of attacker will have a very hard time like extracting keys. And it's very important for banks and states because they don't want their secret inside your passport or their secret inside your banking card to be extracted. So that's the reason why they created this technology. In fact, they didn't create this technology, but they are leveraging this technology, and the smart card manufacturer try to always raise the bar for security. And we decided to use the exact same technology because it's the most secure technology that you can have.
It's the only way really to protect yourself from physical extraction.
Yeah, if you add like the physical security into your threat model, then this is the only technology. But already, if you have like a physical device, like a secure hardware device, in order to manage your keys, you are already like far more secure than any other solution. Just because you are putting your keys offline and your threat model and attack surface is much smaller than if you are like implementing a software wallet or this kind of solution. So we have this operating system. We have built an operating system on top of this smart card technology. This operating system is is quite simple, but it's on purpose. Like we don't want to play Candy Crush on your Ledger wallet. So this operating system is mostly like a set of cryptographic API, and you can load different application, and the operating system will help you like loading application, and you will have like different properties. You will have like the confidentiality of the keys that is ensured by the smart cards. Your keys will be generated and stay inside the secure element, and the cryptography is implemented inside so that they don't have to leave the secure element. And you have also like strong guarantees in terms of integrity of what is executed inside the device, meaning that the code is signed. As soon as you are executing code, we know where this code is come from. It has not been tampered with. Like you have all this set of guarantees that is really useful. So the operating system is offering this cryptographic API. And you will be able to load different application that runs on the device, on the operating system, and that will leverage the different cryptographic API, which will be like encryption, hashes, signatures. And when it comes to signatures, we are supporting like so many different like a pre-quantum signature scheme, like CDSA with plenty of different curves, EDDSA, BLS, Schnorr, you name it, like plenty of all the imagination of the blockchain developers. We had to support these signature schemes. And now when it comes to supporting post-quantum schemes, then we have to add them within the operating system. But in order to support them in the operating system, we decided to start with the SDK so that we don't have to change the operating system for now. So it's more like a transition period where app developer can like leverage the primitives that we are offering as an SDK primitive. But on the long run, they will go back into the operating system layer, and the application will simply like use those cryptographic primitives.
So yeah, this is like the key function basically, is wallet developers can now build applications or like various other functions within the wallet stack, essentially using post-quantum cryptographic primitives. They can play around. They can like make things that are post-quantum now, not at the protocol level, but on the infrastructure level.
Exactly. And what we have added recently are like two main primitives. The first one is ML-KEM, which is like for encryption. And as I mentioned, like we almost never use encryption when it comes to the blockchain interaction. When you are interacting with blockchain, you are essentially doing like signatures, no encryption. But when it comes to ledger infrastructure, we need encryption for different use cases. And also, as a user, if you are doing like a non-blockchain like application, you might need also encryption. But on our side, we need the encryption primitives in order to upgrade our like a secure channel protocol. And in the post-quantum cryptography transition, encryption is the most urgent matter because when it comes to encryption, there is the harvest now, decrypt later problem, meaning that the state actor, or not a state, but any like malicious actor could start gathering all the encrypted data now, thinking that in the future, when a quantum computer would be available, even if the actor wouldn't disclose it, because as I said, the research is made in the dark now, this threat actor could simply decrypt this data. So the harvest now, decrypt later problem is a matter of time frame. Like this time frame must be closed as soon as possible, because otherwise, in the future, the data that cannot be decrypted now could be decrypted. So for the harvest now, decrypt later problem, we are kind of already late. Like every single data that is today not post-quantum might be decrypted in the future. For most cases, that might not be a problem, it depends. Like when you are encrypting data, it's for a reason. So some secret might be revealed in the future. Let's hope they won't be relevant anymore because it will be late enough. But this is the problem we have for the encryption. So that's why I said that upgrading the encryption stack is the most urgent matters, and that's the reason why we started with that. For signatures, as long as you upgrade 1 minute before we have a quantum computer capable of factoring or breaking asymmetric cryptography, you're safe. All the time before is not relevant anymore. You have migrated just before the quantum computer, you're safe. For the harvest now, decrypt later, it's not the case. So that's why we started with the ML-KEM in order to shorten the time frame of vulnerability, let's say. And we started for ML-KEM. And secondly, we also implemented ML-DSA, which is one of the 3 algorithms that have been standardized by the NIST. But unfortunately, for some reason, our blockchain developers friends don't really like ML-DSA for some reason, and this is not their favorite primitive.
The whole Bitcoiners are a little sus on this.
Exactly. They are.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. So that's but the whole world will move towards ML-DSA. ML-DSA is the best choice.
The whole internet's going to move to ML-DSA for sure.
Everything but blockchain will move towards ML-DSA. I would be in favor that blockchain also choose ML-DSA. So that's the reason why I chose ML-DSA to be the first signature algorithm to be supported as an SDK.
Okay, so we'll get into that. Okay, so you integrated ML-KEM for encryption, which isn't really super relevant for blockchains, but might have some use cases on the infrastructure side, depending on what's going on.
Yep.
And then ML-DSA, which is a lattice-based signature. It's the only NIST standardized lattice-based signature, right?
Fully standardized, yes, but you have two algorithms that are standardized in terms of lattice. You have ML-DSA and FN-DSA, Falcon. And for some reason, so you have 2 steps when it comes to standardization. I'm not a specialist, so I don't want to say something wrong, but you have 2 steps. The first one is the statement saying that we are going to standardize this algorithm, and the 3 have been standardized, Sphinx for hash-based signature, ML-DSA, Dilithium for lattice-based signature, and FN-DSA has been claimed as announced as a standard, but the real standard publication happened only for the first 2 and not for FN-DSA, for Falcon, which is the same thing. I'm not sure why, but everyone says that it's going to happen
It's just a process issue, basically.
This is what they say, but maybe I hope they won't standardize it because Falcon is not a good one. Mostly,
it's not a good one.
I don't think so. Not from a security, from a cryptographic perspective. The math are completely correct. The problem is FN-DSA is using floating numbers. So you have 2 types of numbers, floating numbers, the numbers with comma and after the comma, digit after the comma, and you have integers. You have these two kind of numbers. But when it comes, so in the mathematical theory, both are very well defined, and there was no problem. When it comes to implementing real numbers, floating numbers, you have plenty of problems, plenty of implementation issues.
Oh, interesting. So it's difficult to make it practical for real wallet use cases, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. When, for instance, if you compute 1 divided by 3 times 3. In floating numbers that can do 1.0, that can do 1.00001, that can do 9.99999. All these 3 results are correct in the floating number implementation. When you want to do cryptography, that's not a good property.
Yeah. Wait, so I thought that I saw you tweet that you wanted to integrate Falcon and I think Hawk at some point into the Ledger SDK. Are you taking that back?
No, we will implement FNDSA and Falcon because blockchain bros.
They're demanding it.
Yeah, they want to implement it. Solana want to implement it. And
Solana wants to implement Falcon?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because this is the shortest signatures that you can produce in the post-quantum world.
They're small.
Yeah. Today ECDSA produced 65 bytes signatures,
which for Solana makes sense. I mean, Solana
because they
cares about that the most.
Exactly, they want to have the smallest latency as possible. And in the post-quantum world, the shortest signature that is standardized is FNDSA, and I think it's 300 bytes. So it's already far bigger. No, maybe not. It's 600 bytes. Hawk is only 300 bytes. But the problem is that it leverages floating point arithmetic, which is a bad idea.
Okay, so you're an ML-DSA maxi, is what it sounds like.
I'm not maxi. I'm just computing benefits and trade-off, and the ML-DSA is the best one. There is no.
It's the best one.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think of this hash-based signature situation? What's the problem with hash-based signatures?
You have only problems with hash-based signature, and the first one is the computation power that is required to do Sphinx signatures. It's huge. You need to do so many different hashes in a tree. And at the end, I don't even have the number in mind because Sphinx have plenty of parameters, and depending on the parameters, you will need more or less hashes. But even the short version are creating very big keys, very big signatures. It's very costly to implement them. It takes ages to implement such signatures. So yeah, it's just plenty of drawbacks. The only benefits, and there is one, obviously, otherwise our Bitcoin friends wouldn't be in favor of hash-based signatures. The only benefit is that hashes are very well studied for years, and we understand very well their properties, and we know there is no hidden structure in hashes because hashes are very dumb. You just take bits and you mix them and again, and you shuffle more and you mix them and you shuffle more, and you do that
There's barely a math problem to even solve. It's just kind of chaos.
We know that there is no hidden structure because it's by definition, hashes don't have any structure. For the rest of asymmetric cryptography, we are leveraging beautiful math with a beautiful structure, and the fear is that there might be a hidden structure that we don't know today that would weaken the security of those lattice-based schemes. And for Bitcoiner, I think, I don't want to think for them, but I think they would think the same for other mechanism, because you have these three that are standardized, but we know more than three signatures schemes that are post-quantum and that are leveraging other structure as well that could be more or less complex. But the only one where we have very, very strong guarantees that there is no hidden structure and so on are hashes. So this is the reason why Bitcoiners want to be conservative and want to focus on hash-based signatures.
Do you think there's relevance to the argument that, the other issue with lattices is they're just a little bit too new? We need to do a little bit more research on, the parameters that we would need to use for lattice-based signatures in order to feel really, really confident, bit length, things like that. I mean, do you see any...
lattices are known for 200 years. Lattice cryptography is known for 40 years. I mean, it's not that new.
But people would say, with hashes, we really understand exactly how large these things need to be in order to get...
This is a fair argument.
It's fair.
Yeah,
okay.
This is a fair argument, but I think we know quite well lattices now, and
you think it's a bit overstated, this argument?
Yeah, frankly, when I see how non-conservative our cryptographers in the blockchain world, seeing that now all of a sudden we should use hash-based signatures for security reasons is a little bit weird to me, to be honest.
All right, guys, taking a quick moment to thank my new sponsors of the show. First off, the one and only Layer 2 Labs, pushing forward research and development of drive chains. Drive chains were first introduced as a soft fork proposal to Bitcoin, aka BIP 300, BIP 301. These BIPs essentially propose a bridging mechanism between Bitcoin and Layer 2s that are incentive aligned with miners, and they've gotten a ton of attention over the last couple of years. If you're curious about how drive chains could work in practice, though, check out layer2labs.com and download their alternative front end to Bitcoin Core. It lets you play with drive chains and see how they actually work in real life. I'd also like to introduce Hashi, an alternative primitive to traditional L2s that allows users to execute a wide range of Bitcoin DeFi activities without having to trust a federated bridge. With Hashi, Bitcoin is controlled by an MPC wallet that requires a quorum of proof-of-stake validators on the Sui network to execute Bitcoin transactions based on the validity of smart contracts. At least a third of the staking power of the Sui validators network is required to execute these MPC mint and redeem transactions, which is a substantive improvement in trust assumptions relative to other L2s or sidechain bridges. Hashi's commercial team is also stacked, including a crew of former builders from the crypto division of Meta. I think we're going to see a suite of super competitive Bitcoin DeFi products built with this protocol, so definitely check out the Hashi page on sui.io if you're curious. Last but not least, shout out to Bitbox. Bitbox is one of the easiest and most simple to use Bitcoin hardware wallets on the market right now. If you have friends or family members that you want to make sure stay safe and use cold storage, but maybe they're not the most Bitcoin native people in the world, I highly recommend checking out Bitbox. They're completely open source, no compromises on security, but they're also super easy to use, really intuitive UX. Plus, you can use them with concierge multisig services like Unchained, which I'm personally a big fan of. If you want to check out their hardware wallets, go to bitbox.swiss and use code BitcoinRails to get a discount. All right, back to the show. So it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned obviously size being the biggest trade-off with hash-based signatures. For me, what I would argue, right, given the fact that we're doing all this work to optimize these hash-based signatures, including introducing stateful signatures into Bitcoin, which that scares me. I know that scares a lot of people. You as a wallet developer, I would think, would be extra concerned about that. How big of an issue do you think that is?
It's another... So... As hash-based signatures are so bad, like so long, so to take so much resources, we start to find parameters in order to make them more like implementable, let's say, and making them stateful is one of them. So.
That's what it looks like we're going to do. I mean, that's the road that we're on.
No, I really...
We're going to have a backup. We'll have the Sphinx backup.
I'm secretly hoping that we will change our mind and go to ML-DSA.
Okay, you're on the record.
But
I mean, I think that this is my understanding talking to Jonas Nick and some of the other folks who are developing the signature and writing the BIP for this, for op shrinks, is this is going to be particularly challenging for wallet developers. And that's why I think your opinion is probably
and for
particularly
users as well. So stateful signatures means
it won't be abstracted for users. You guys won't make it not a problem. Isn't it your job to make sure that users don't screw it up?
Yeah, but you have also the question of interoperability, because...
You mean for the developers who are building on top, like all of these folks?
But also for different wallets. So if we have to implement stateful signatures and so on, that means that we will have to record some data so that the next time you sign something, you already have the data required to do another signature.
Or if you lose a device, that's a problem.
Where do you store
that.
it? Where do you store it? If you store it in the device, so there might be some size constraints. What happens if your device is wiped for some reason because you just put it in the washing machine and then your device is wiped? It's happening every day. So you would have to do a full, because let's explain for the listeners. When you do with hash-based signature, either you are implementing it in a stateless manner, and you just have to do a full Sphinx signature, which is very long, takes a lot of space and a lot of time and so on. It's possible, but again, it's very costly. On a hardware device, I don't have the numbers in mind, but it probably takes minutes to do like a full Sphinx signature on the device. So you have to wait more than 1 minute to have one signature. It doesn't make sense. And in order to
for Bitcoiners, that might be fine, but
yeah, probably. It depends.
But not for anyone else.
Yeah, it depends which Bitcoiner at the end. Yeah.
Fair.
And in order to make them like more friendly, the idea is to say, I'm going to like take a sub-problems where I have like less security property, because let's say it, like stateful signatures are less secure.
They are less secure. Stateful signatures are less secure. This is the keynote, you guys.
Yeah, and they are secure only if you sign like a certain number of transactions. If you sign more than, like it depends on the parameter you are choosing, then your keys are not safe anymore. So this is what we are talking about. So hash-based signatures are so bad that we agree to take this like downside of having like stateful signatures, where you can only sign a certain number of transactions. And the other drawback is that you have to remember some data so that you can sign over another signature after another.
But if you forget how many times you've signed, then and you accidentally go over your signature budget, you lose your key, basically. You can have forging situations.
Exactly.
So, okay. Do you think that this is solved by having Sphinx as a backup? Like by having this sort of like hybrid Sphinx, like stateful, stateless situation?
This is the only way.
We have to do it this way. Yeah.
But at the
Which
end,
is what we're going to do, probably. That's what it's looking like. That's what they're working on. That's what they seem to be doing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if this is what the community and the ecosystem decides, we will implement it. The user experience will be terrible. This is just we need to think about it.
I mean, and to be fair, also, again, even use of Sphinx as a backup, it's still going to require user compliance, right? You still have to know when to use Sphinx as a backup, right? I mean, there's just a lot of room for user error. Do you think that the potential for user error is a security risk that outweighs?
Totally.
You do. It outweighs the difference in security between lattice and hash-based.
Yeah, I always say that if you want to do a secure system, you need to make it as simple as possible, generally speaking, so that anyone can understand it, and as easy to use as possible. This is also something I say about the passphrase in the device, because you can have your 24 words, but you can add the 25th word, which is the passphrase, and we are offering this as an advanced feature. I always say, don't use this, because I see every day some users that are stuck because they just lost their 25th word and they want it to be more secure by adding it. This is what is happening in the real world. We can think of like very complex, very secure systems and so on, but if they are not used properly and everyone is using their money because of this, we don't really solve a security problem.
Right.
We are creating ones.
I would imagine, I don't want to misquote anyone in particular, but sort of the argument that I'm hearing from, kind of Bitcoin devs who are working this on the protocol side would say we'd rather have user error than systemic error.
Yeah, of course, we don't want to have a situation where it's possible to break ML-DSA and then the whole security of Bitcoin is falling apart. Yeah, we don't want that. I agree.
But you think the risk of that is so marginal relative to the user error risk that it's probably not worth it, in your opinion?
This is my opinion, yes. And for now, let's remember that we have to migrate from ECDSA. This is the current problem, not like ML-DSA being potentially broken in the future. And already, this step seems to be very difficult to do, not from a technology standpoint, not from a technical standpoint, but more from a social consensus standpoint. Because you have some people who want like hash-based signature, full thanks. You want to have some people who wants to have like stateful signatures. Some others like me would prefer ML-DSA because this is the best solution. And what happens when you have like hash-based signature? Like you're going to create very large signatures. Like the Bitcoin throughput is already not so high. Like 7 transactions per second is not a lot. We probably don't need a lot more, but still to be debated. With hash-based signatures, you are creating very, very large signatures that will just completely fill up the blocks. And you are dividing the throughput by 10, more than 10, probably more than 10, by the way. Yes, yeah, more than 10.
Yeah.
And you
maybe 20. Yeah.
So
I said maybe 20.
Yeah, probably 20, no, even more. I said 10, but 10 is probably more ML-DSA cases. So that means I don't think like we can only migrate to hash-based signature without changing anything else. Like probably the size of the block might need to be changed.
Or we need some sort of like compression thing, like Benedict Bunz, I think, is working on.
You can do ZK. You can
exactly.
What's the security of ZK? Like we are like...
like then we introduce... all these new security assumptions once we're using ZK. So basically, another argument you would say is that using hash-based signatures will require us to introduce other trust assumptions that we aren't even really thinking about if we're just narrowly looking at the signature.
Exactly. For now, we are just narrowly looking at the signatures, and we are ignoring all the rest. And
all the implications.
So, and the first implication is the size. So the size will create will completely fill the blocks. So either you accept that the Bitcoin blockchain, you cannot do more than, I don't know, half, one transaction per minute, maybe. That might be the order of magnitude. Either you accept this, so I don't think it's acceptable. Like 7 transactions per second is already very slow, and so the slowing down even more wouldn't be acceptable. So either you are trying to compress this, so introducing new fancy cryptography. I love ZK. I'm a big fan of it, but frankly, there is more risk using ZK than choosing ML-DSA, for instance. Or you are changing the size of the blocks, which is an issue in terms of...
so many reasons.
Yeah, and I remember the war in block size war in 2017.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to reopen that can of worms right this second.
But the problems that are ahead of us, the debate that are ahead of us are much more complex than this block size war, which makes me a little bit nervous because we don't have time. We need to migrate as fast as we can. And I don't see an end-to-end solution.
Well, and the biggest issue also is that we go through the whole hurdle of, finally getting this, consensus level op shrinks or whatever the hash-based signature is. And then we realize that it was actually maybe the wrong choice in practice. That is also a problem.
And then there was the migration part. What do you do? Because how the migration will happen. At some point, we will decide on a signature scheme, maybe a compression scheme, maybe a block size, or whatever. A new derivation mechanism, because you need to create new derivation paths and derivation mechanism standard. We don't have them today. Then we need to create new addresses standard as well, which will be much longer, obviously. And then we will need to ask users to migrate their funds from their vulnerable addresses to these new post-quantum addresses. So something like this will happen. And then, as I mentioned, the throughput of the blockchain is not that high. If you want to migrate every single UTXO into this new model, it already costs several months. I think it's more than 6 months. if you like
with perfect use, with
if
perfect
you
compliance.
if you completely fill all the blocks only with this migration transaction, that might create some like very high fees and so on. So we will see. And then there are like new questions, like what do you do with like the coins that have not migrated? And on this, there are like several different possibilities, and for me, they are all bad. Like,
do you think that any of the risks here are mitigated by just introducing a hybrid scheme where we just have both hash-based signatures and lattice-based signatures? Or
I've heard plenty of like cryptographers that I respect a lot that would be in favor of doing hybrid schemes.
I think Dan plugged for this on my show when he came on. Yeah, he's into this idea.
I know he's into this, but I think it's a very bad idea.
Why?
In terms of security, it's very conservative. You have both of best of both worlds and so on. But you are multiplying the complexities, and you are creating like two migration, like a first one and the second one.
Oh, you have to migrate twice. You can't just migrate to a
hybrid
wall.
is more a transition period, probably. It multiplies the complexities, and then it's more error prone. I think it's a false good idea.
Okay, so I think I have the title for this episode, which will be The Case for Lattice-Based Cryptography and Bitcoin. But before, there's one other thing that you talk about quite frequently in terms of your case for lattice-based, and that's thresholdization. So lattice-based cryptography will allow us to maintain multi-signature capability. Am I getting that right?
So you have two different ways to do like a multi-signature. So either you are using like the blockchain capability to do multi-signature. So either the PSBT or whatever on Bitcoin, or and you can use a smart contract on Ethereum and other blockchains. Or you can use like a cryptography, like a Trezor signature scheme that are producing like a signature that look exactly the same as it was like a single signatures. But the difference is that we are using like a multi-party computation. So they call it multi-party computation, but at the end it's a Trezor signature schemes, meaning that you have like shard of the keys, and the different participant will independently compute part of the signatures independently. You don't have any trust assumption in a perfect world. It really depends on the implementation. You don't have any trust assumption between the different participants. They partly sign the signatures. And then you just combine there's 3 or whatever number depending on the scheme, partly signed signatures, and you recombine them into a signature that looks perfectly normal from the cryptography and computing.
So thresholdization means MPC, basically. Those are
they call it MPC, but it's not it's like MPC is more a broad field in computing and in cryptography. And when they say MPC, they talk about like threshold signature scheme. It's a specific instance of MPC, let's say.
Which is different than multi-signature. And multi-signature is really only used in Bitcoin. Is that accurate? Like there's
it's used in Bitcoin and in like smart contract world also.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Differently. But for instance, in Bitcoin, you can also, and in order to take a signature scheme and making it thresholdable, let's say, you have different schemes. On ECDSA is definitely not like designed for making it MPC compliant or threshold scheme compliant because of the way it's constructed. And there has been like plenty of protocols that make it MPC. But they are quite bad, I think, and plenty of them have been broken like over the years, and they improve again and again. The recent one was Torchain. Torchain in their model, they are in order to make the consensus of Torchain censorship resistant and decentralized. They have like plenty of nodes that are it's not plenty, but a couple of nodes that are like jointly doing MPC in order to say, okay, this is the state of the Tor chain. I will move like funds in a decentralized manner to do a swap between Ethereum and Bitcoin, for instance. So they are using this, and one of their implementation was broken by probably North Korea a couple of months before, and this comes from the fact that they are using like it on ECDSA because Bitcoin is using ECDSA, and ECDSA is not an algorithm that was designed to create these threshold signature schemes, and all the schemes that are implementing ECDSA in a threshold manner are really clunky because like ECDSA is not linear, and it's very difficult to turn it in a way so that you will have S1 plus S2 that makes a valid signature. While it's the case for Schnorr. Schnorr signature is essentially linear. You can take the secret, cut it into 3, and then you do like a partial signature S1, S2, S3. You add the 3, and it creates a valid S. So this is how Schnorr works. Unfortunately, Schnorr was not chosen by Satoshi at the beginning of Bitcoin for a patent reason. There was the Certicom patent that prevented this. In fact, it could have been the patent just expired a few months before the genesis of Bitcoin, but I guess that was too late for Satoshi.
I think he took ECDSA from some sort of like library, and the Schnorr wasn't in the library or something like that. Yeah.
ECDSA was used everywhere, so there was plenty of library, but it was not the case for Schnorr, and we didn't have Claude to prompt a Schnorr implementation. So Schnorr is very well designed for.
So you can do MPC safely with Schnorr, but ECDSA, it's more
ECDSA
janky.
is quite bad. It doesn't mean like people don't do that, because like the plenty of B2B players when it comes to wallet infrastructure are leveraging MPC, and they didn't get big hacks, even if they had vulnerabilities and they updated. But vulnerability at the cryptographic level is not good. Like again, like we use cryptography to have math guarantees, and when you use MPC with ECDSA, you are not that sure with the math.
When people say MPC is less secure than multi-signature schemes, because a lot of Bitcoiners don't want to use thresholdization or MPC because they think it's less secure than multi-signature. Is this the reason? Because ECDSA specifically is, if they were using Schnorr, would they feel more comfortable?
This is my opinion, and I think they think the same.
Okay.
The problem,
this is the problem, is the ECDSA.
This is the problem. And if you compare Schnorr with like a multisig on-chain signature, I think like both have the same level of security. Schnorr is a little bit better because it will produce like smaller signatures. You don't have a script on-chain. The script is much simpler. So that would be the benefit for Schnorr. And another benefit is that you don't have to maintain a PSBT data. That if you lose this data, you essentially lose your money. So this is another benefit for Schnorr. The benefits for a multisig, on-chain multisig, is that you can make it like more flexible, meaning that you can add the time lock. You can create like different spending paths, so it's like more flexible,
more conditional.
Yeah, you can do
options.
More things that just like MPC with Schnorr. And back to the post-quantum signature, because that was your original question.
Exactly.
If you want to implement MPC on post-quantum cryptography signature schemes, all of them are very bad. Like
even Lattice?
Yeah, even Lattice. The Schnorr is the only one that works very well. BLS works well as well. BLS like Bonnet and others. It's really good as well. And then you have like all the different post-quantum cryptography signature schemes. And hash-based, for sure, we won't have an MPC scheme. Falcon, we don't know, but I have like big doubts. ML-DSA, dilithium, we already have like one paper that proves that that is possible
to do MPC, but not multisig. Like we're getting there's no multisig in a PQ world for Bitcoin. Like proper traditional multi-signature, there's like no way to do it with any of the PQ options right now. Is that right?
You mean like multisig, or no, you mean
like multisig, not MPC? Because if we compare this is what I hear all the time is, okay, well, hash-based, forget it. We can't do any of it. We can't do MPC. We can't do multisig. Lattice, we can't do multisig, but we can do MPC. That's what I hear a lot. Is that accurate?
So in theory, we have one paper that shows that it's possible. And even if dilithium ML-DSA looks like linear, it's kind of the case. You have like some rejection sampling thing that makes it difficult to make it in a Trezor signature manner. So it was solved, but again, I'm not comfortable with the solution, and there might be solutions.
You wouldn't consider it secure? Like no. You wouldn't feel comfortable actually using it in practice in any real way?
Yeah, definitely not.
Okay, so we're basically giving up. I mean, this is like a huge, to me, this is the biggest problem with PQ cryptography, period. Is like.
But you can do multisig at the end. Like it's possible.
Oh, you can do multisig.
Yeah, you can do multisig
with lattice-based, but not with hashes.
No, with everything. Like in theory, you can do all.
You can keep multisig with all of it.
It will just create like very big scripts, especially if your public keys are very large.
Okay.
Which creates like more space and so on, more transaction fees and so on.
Okay, so you'd say like with hash-based signatures, multisig will be a huge deal, but it's possible.
Yep.
Okay, so we aren't giving up multisig. So I may have misunderstood that. So that's good. We get to keep multisig no matter what, but MPC is what's the thresholdization is going to be the problem.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you feel like it's fine, let's just use multisig? Like, what's the big deal? Like, why do we need MPC at all?
That's not the biggest problem. And no, for MPC, there are like several players that are all their technology is like focused on MPC, especially in the wallet infrastructure for B2B. And then they will have to find another technology. Like this is the point, just because of post-quantum cryptography migration.
So are there any other kind of like final thoughts that you want to share about lattice-based versus hash-based while we're on the subject? Do you have any points of view about, I mean, I don't even know if you have points of view about like isogeny or any of these other potential schemes that you might want to comment on?
So now there is a second wave of standardization. I don't know if I mentioned it. So we have these three that are standardized. Two of them officially. The third one that will come quickly. And then there is like the NIST realized that all the candidates are not so good for various reasons, mostly size and so on. So that's why they launched a second wave of standardization, and now I think we are the third round of standardization, and we have like 14 different candidates still. Like for those who are listening us, like the standardization process is quite fun. You have plenty of teams that are proposing like algorithm that are meeting with the different properties. Here, like we want to be like post-quantum secure and so on, and compute signatures. And then you have different rounds where these teams are doing cryptanalysis against each other. So they are like trying to break the other candidates' proposal. And if they do, they are simply eliminated at the next round. So they do that again and again.
It's a great competition.
Yeah, it's really great. I love it. And at the end, at the last round, quite often there are like several candidates that remain, and the NIST kind of arbitrarily choose, not completely arbitrarily because it looks at the different parameters and so on. Sometimes it would change the parameters. There was a good story about that. In 1978, there was a similar competition for encryption. That was we wanted to create the data encryption standard. That was the DES, replaced afterwards by the AES. And at the time, IBM proposed a cipher algorithm. That was, I don't remember the name of their proposal, but at the end, they won the competition, but the NIST said, we are going to take exactly your algorithm, but we will change some parameters, like the value of the S box. It's substitution boxes, and they just simply change everything, all those boxes. All the rest remain the same. And everyone was like, oh, they are like putting backdoors in my... Of course.
Are you concerned about this? The backdoors, the NIST backdoors issue? Do you want to have a comment about this?
Let me finish because this story is really interesting. So everyone was complaining about that, and that was in 1978. At the end, the NIST won. The standard was the DES with the NIST S boxes. In 2001, like 23 years after, linear cryptanalysis was discovered in the public world. So public researcher found the linear cryptanalysis, which is an advanced mathematical tools that allows to break some cryptography in certain conditions. And we realized that the only S boxes of DES that are resistant to these linear cryptanalysis tools are the ones chosen by the NIST.
Oh my gosh.
So they didn't put a backdoor. They were
actually just doing their jobs.
Yeah, they were just already aware of the linear cryptanalysis before, like 23 years before it was known publicly.
Way to go, NIST. Nice work.
And and that's quite interesting because now we are entering into this era where we don't know who and when we will have a quantum computer, and the NIST tells us, hurry up.
More evidence that we should probably just, heed any warning given to us by the government. All right. Okay.
Draw your own conclusion.
Do you have, so I'm assuming though, on a separate note, you don't have a big concern about the NIST backdoor controversy?
No, definitely not. Like, I'm really, generally speaking, I'm more cypherpunk, and don't want to trust
You are a cryptographer after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also a cryptographer, and the facts are the facts.
You're not worried about that?
No, I'm not really worried about that, no.
Okay. Well, so I have one last question about, so something else that came up on the hash-based, lattice-based sort of comparison conversation. When Trezor made their announcement, which was a very different announcement than you guys made, you guys were talking about updating your SDK, kind of introducing these primitives for people to build with. As far as I'm aware, they actually did integrate post-quantum signatures into their device stack, basically. Is that accurate? For device authentication and maybe for some other things.
Yeah, their security model is very different, but still, I can comment. They have a bootloader that are inside the MCU, like the STM32, and this bootloader must be trusted because this is the thing that will verify the firmware. The firmware is then signed by Trezor, and when you load it, the bootloader is just verifying that the signatures is correct, and if it is, it will load it properly without warning. You can also sideload your own firmware, but the bootloader will say warning that's not an official firmware. And what they updated is simply the bootloader signature verification algorithm. So instead of using ECDSA, I guess they were using ECDSA, I'm not sure, but yeah, this is probably the case. They replaced this by a post-quantum one. So the bootloader now is verifying the post-quantum signatures of the firmware.
So what I heard, and tell me if you may or may not know the answer to this question, but I heard that they chose a hash-based signature for their bootloader, but a lattice-based signature for device authentication. So they're using different PQ schemes for different parts of this stack. Is that not accurate?
So I'm not sure, but I don't think this is the case. It's not what I said. What I said is that the bootloader is verifying the signature of the firmware. This signature used to be ECDSA, so not a pre-quantum, and now this signature is post-quantum. So this is what they changed.
No, but I'm just digging digging in a little bit further. So the bootloader, like the cryptography used for the bootloader, is different than the signatures that are used for device authentication, or is that not right?
There is no device authentication on Trezor.
There's no device authentication on Trezor.
No. When you have a Trezor in hand, you have no way to be sure that's genuine one.
Okay, so maybe ChatGPT lied to me about this. Is that a thing on other hardware devices, device authentication, or is this not a thing?
On Ledger devices, there is an authentication.
But not on Trezor.
Yeah, but the way it works on Ledger, I can explain briefly. During the manufacturing, so again, we are using secure element and so on. During the manufacturing, there is a specific step where the secure element is generating what we call an attestation. So basically, it's a pair of keys, a private one and a public one. And the public one is given to one of the Ledger HSM, which will sign this public key with a root key of Ledger. And then we have a certificate, essentially, or an attestation that is going to be put inside the device. And then when you are communicating with a Ledger device, you can ask the device, prove that you are a Ledger genuine device.
Right.
And then you just send a challenge. It will sign with the private keys and showing the attestation. And then you can verify that the signatures produced is well in the tree of signatures coming from the root key of Ledger. And then you have no doubt that this is the case.
But you're saying Trezor doesn't have this feature at all?
No. And, and no other. And if you don't use a secure element,
you can't do it.
You can't really do that because you take. It
has to do with using a secure element. You have to have a secure element.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can extract. Like if you give me like a Trezor device or any other like a device that is not using the real secure element, extracting the content is quite easy. Like for me, or for the dungeon, like our internal security research team, I can take a Trezor device and extract its content within 3 minutes.
Not a big deal.
And so if you put an attestation, then they will extract the attestation, and then you can produce fake Trezor device with this real attestation. Okay,
so maybe ChatGPT lied to me, because when I looked at this on ChatGPT, they specifically made this point that not only does Trezor apparently have device authentication according to ChatGPT, but that the post-quantum signature that they were going to use would be different for device authentication than for the bootloader. Let's just back up for a second.
Yes, it's different because there is no...
There's no device authentication also. I guess it is different. I guess this sort of brought up a question for me, though, which was, do you see using different types of PQ schemes in different parts of wallet infrastructure signatures? And are certain things more secure, and maybe you would use a hash-based signature in some contexts, but not in others?
I think we will use like hash-based signature for signing Bitcoin transaction because this is the way it is. But for everything that is like wallet related, we will use like ML-DSA.
Okay, you'll use ML-DSA everywhere. You're not forced to use hash-based.
Exactly. It's a very good summary.
All right. Okay. I think that sums it up then. Thank you so much, Charles, for coming on. This was really great. Again, we have a great title for this episode, The Case for Lattice-Based Cryptography in Bitcoin. And yeah, this was a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.